Are you struggling to build an engaging, amazing, kick ass community? If so, come join me in this case study. Let's go. Hey folks, welcome to Podmentorspace podcast. My name is Rajiv Doreswamy, and in this episode, this is officially our first case study where we're going to talk about community building. And the case study revolves around my friend's community, which is Sam Mitchell, the host of Autism's Rocks and Rolls. And before we actually get into all of that good stuff, of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you found this episode helpful. And of course, if you are tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, follow, and then let's engage. Let's engage because this will help you definitely, because this is one essential thing in podcasting is community building. So let's get into the meat and bones. Of course, first of all, let me introduce who Sam Mitchell is. Sam Mitchell is an amazing friend of mine who I had the honor and the pleasure of having on my show, in my the Rajiv show. And what's his podcast all about? As mentioned, he's the host of Autism Rocks and Rolls. And in the show, he talks about, I'm just going to read it from my description here on my blog, is that he proves that autism is a part of an identity and it doesn't define him. So powerful. And that's the beauty of podcasting, is not shying away from your disability in order for you to express yourself. And if you have the ability to express yourself through the pain, and you have a reason, you have a voice, and podcasting is the best way to go. So let's get on with his community. Of course, what is the name of his community? It's available on Facebook, links below, and of course on Spotify as well. The name of the community is Autism, Sam Stories, and Other Resources. It's an amazing place to be. And of course, for context, as a case study, the group has 1.2 members, and I'm sure it's still counting. It's an amazing place. Again, it's an amazing place. And here are some few things that I asked Sam in our earlier semi interview and catch up. I got to ask him a lot about collective community tips, personal community tips, problems that he faced in community building, and lessons. And of course, these will be essential for your community, and I definitely believe that these points can help you bring the best out of your community. So first, let's get into community tips. Let's always start with the good ones. You gotta know how to network. You gotta network. And when you are networking, you should have a purpose and an intent of reaching out to the right people and having that reason for being who you are, balancing who you are and balancing your intentions. Because some people, when they go to network, they only sell their intention, but they don't sell themselves. And this is something I also noticed, that when you create and make friends, the point of having friends is to have someone to be reliable of. But imagine if your friend is a salesman that sells you, is a bad salesman that sells you everything. Then he's more of not even a friend at that point, because he's just a basic salesman who just wants his intentions are more than his ability to connect with people. So you gotta network, but network wisely. And then of course, point number 2 is learn to develop. See, it pulls into the next point, which is learn to develop and understand human psychology. Here, it's all about human connection. A community, the main point of why communities exist in our in our ecosystem is because someone wants to be a part of a collective. An artist wants to be a part of a group so that he just wants to be there with a group of people. When you're in school, you have all these separate categories. The reason why these categories are made is because each community has something that someone has to offer. So when someone joins in, of course it will be shy in the beginning, and then over time, as that friendship, as that community develop, that longing to be in the community, they become a part of one, and it's an amazing place. So the way you can win, and connect, is to develop that ability to be approachable and be relatable and be authentic. And if the community is not for you, then sorry to tell you, but it's not for you. And this is for leaders and moderators. Learn to bring people together. It falls down to the first 2 points. Of course, um, like I mentioned in the first point, is having the ability to balance intention and having balancing your personality and intention. If your intent is to bring a group together for a cause, or or something that matters to you the most, then learn to leverage your intention with your personality. Please do not shy away, do not ignore your personality, because your personality, if your intentions overpowers your personality, people will see through your intentions and notice that your personality doesn't align. Then everything will fall apart. So learn to balance personality and intentions, and that's how you can bring people together, because that is how every community leader brings in, and has that conversation with others and be relatable and bring the best out of someone else. So yeah, learn to bring people with the right intention, and then of course with the right intention, and with your personality as well. Okay, these are some of Sam's tips that we had an interesting conversation about. Is that, he said these 2 points are a little bit contradicting each other, but they actually connect as well. So the first one is, of course, learn to separate business life on both online and offline. So what do I mean by this? Of course, social media is a space where you can connect and be a part of something. That's the beauty of our society, is that we want to connect. But of course, not everything that we do needs to go through social media. And I'm sure you agree with me, is that privacy is key to survival. Because if you don't have the control over your privacy, everything else will fall apart. Now, what do I mean by that? You can be a private person, you can talk about millions of things under the sun, but if you share everything, everybody will use it in such a way that they understand that this guy is on. They will see through everything. And when you are overdoing it, especially in social media, nobody really cares. Then that's the reality of it. So do not overshare, and learn to minimize your private life online. And offline, I guess it's the same thing. When you're with people, when you're with community members, it's not that just because you're a part of the community, you overshare everything that you have. You don't tell them that you had cornflakes for breakfast, because they can't relate. They want to be a part of the community. Let's say you're in an art group or a music group. They only want to talk about music, because that is what the community is all about. They don't really care about your cornflakes. Although I'd probably love to listen to your cornflake story, but yeah, that is. That is the thing when it comes to separating your life and business. Privacy is key. And this connects to the same next point, which is, if you intend to share a bit of personal life into your social media and into your offline, make sure that part of your life that you're sharing, you should be held accountable for. So what do I mean? You should know the risk factor of being a part of that community by sharing that information, whether the information that you share would probably make you be relatable, or make you non-relatable, or make you controversial. So there is a fine line where you have to find what works for you in terms of leveraging part of your personal life. Again, like I said, social media is where you share and be social, but it's not a place for it's that's why it's called social media. It's not personal media. There's a difference. You have to have the ability to be socialistic, especially offline as well when you're in communities and groups. So these are two tips that Sam mentioned, and it's really powerful, and you should consider this if you overshare. you know um, Again, I'm still waiting for your cornflake story. So now let's talk about problems that you face in community building. I guess this is a little bit of a rant for me personally, and of course, some form of reason why I really hate Facebook groups is that. How do I start this without being a little bit ranty? Um, Basically, I hate Facebook groups because of the amount of self promotion with less substance. It's so rampant. It's like a virus that once someone starts sharing without context, and I believe Sam told me that he really hates those type of people, especially those who send malicious links and all these stuff. That's one thing that you have to be aware, especially if you're a community leader. Is you need to learn to gauge on what is authentic and what is not authentic, and you need to learn to kick them out if they really cross the line, especially in Facebook groups or Discord groups. I'm sure there are a lot of groups where they share malicious content, and they destroy the entire community. So learn to spot those when as a community leader. Learn to spot those and take them out as soon as possible, because you are preventing an amazing community from being a legendary community. So, yeah, beware. And scammers, please, just buzz off, honestly. And one lesson that Sam mentioned to me in our pre interview is this: you have to be an authority and a community leader. And this applies to not just being the owner of the community. This also applies to moderators all around. If you're a moderator, you should have the responsibility of having having that conversation, having that ability to say no to certain things that are against the community guidelines. That's why we have community guidelines in Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, is because you have to have the ability and the authority to say no, because there are a lot. If you are soft, there's a potential for people to take over, and that is when you tip over, and that's how, when you open up that wormhole, everybody comes in. Self promotion becomes a rampant existing problem. So you have to be the barrier between filtering the good stuff and the bad stuff, and that is the most important job as a moderator or even as a community leader. And it's all about conversations. Basically, you need to have a reason to conversate with someone. That is the point of a community. And that's one thing I also learned about Reddit, which I've been a massive fan of, and I'm also going to talk about Reddit marketing soon, is that you know if you are passionate about something or a group or a topic, and you share that on that space, that community, there's 100% chance that you would get a lot of people sharing and engaging and talking about that particular topic that you're saying. It can be an unpopular opinion, it can be this, it can be that, but the main point is, it's engaging. Someone would feel something about it, and they would say, yeah, I agree or disagree. So being that authority and that community leader, know what content goes out, as well as having the ability to say no. And yeah, that's pretty much all the stuff that I learned from Sam. And again, if you haven't, go check out his podcast, link below, Spotify as well. And I want to thank Sam personally for having the opportunity to have the conversation. And yeah, with that in mind, I hope you learned a lot. And I want to say cheers, folks. I will see you in the next episode.